a great credit to what you're looking for in the music, which is wonderful. I want to go over something small in each movement, just so that we can kind of get a map of the whole thing. In the first movement, who knows this piece?
Come on, a couple of you know this piece.
So it's relatively
Or you
new.
bought it.
So the first movement, is a recitative, which means you've got some freedom in the interpretation of the rhythm, and it's largely a saxophone feature. The piano has a couple things that support it, but it's not really a collaboration in the same way that the other movements are. And so there's a lot of fast notes, and there's a lot of recurring ba-da-da, that comes back over and over again. Dee-da-da-dee, ba-ba, that haunting little declamation, right? Now, not every note is equally important, and that's what I actually want to work on in this movement. When you can you play the opening phrase just from there, and just go to that low D. Remind us.
With piano?
No piano. Most important notes are in that phrase, that opening phrase of this. There's many ways we can determine what the most important notes are. Let's go with what the longest notes are for this. Okay, we've got a G sharp, ba-da-da, that first G sharp. Then we sit on a D sharp for a while, and then we sit on a G sharp and make our way down to a low D. So I just want you to play. The shape of the phrase dynamically as well. Grow to the D sharp, grow, vibrato, good. Now you're decrescendoing, softer. Good, and that's the shape of the phrase. So now, I want all the other notes to seem less important. Okay, and I'm going to play those skeleton notes. You're going to play what's written.
Okay.
And I would like you to try to make the non-essential notes just like throwaway embellishments. Okay? You go ahead. So now the embellishment notes lead to the most important notes. So. You're always wanting to go back there. Okay? Try that. So throughout the whole movement, we have the same thing happening over and over again, where these sustained notes are the main body of the phrase, and these other faster notes are just embellishments, okay? So that's where you can find some of the color in your sound, actually. Good, okay, second movement. And I do want to work with piano and you together on this, because there's this movement really is about articulation. It's written in 6/8 and the whole time, and then we have the other sinister theme, kind of the Joker theme. But when it's staccato, have you ever played where you use stop staccato, stop tonguing, so that you're blowing air, but the tongue goes on the reed? Can I hear you do that just on a middle C? Good, and put more air compression into the reed when your tongue is on the reed. Yes, excellent, excellent. That's the kind of tonguing I want you to try for this. And why would I ask that? Because the piano has a lot of these running eighth notes too, and they're, not in the beginning, not when you have it, but when her part, it's drier than what you were playing, and so it gave the it sounded just too different from one another, and so, and the speed of this can be helped by using stop tonguing. Okay? So can we try from the top? And I want your ear on the piano line whenever she has running eighth notes, and your job is to match the dryness. Yeah, nice. Did you hear how similar that was now? Makes a big difference. Now go back to the other way you were playing it, because I want the studio to hear the difference. This is an articulation choice that works well in a couple times, a couple instances. Number one, when the tempo's fast enough. You don't want to play this short. It's going to sound ridiculous if it's slower than this. But also, you want to take into account what instruments you're playing with and what their articulation of the same notation sounds like. Okay, so go back to your other way of playing and you'll see the difference. Yeah, you heard it, right? Yeah. Makes a big difference. Now I want to see, it seems like you've got some good technique. I want to see if we can go faster. Good. Lift these. Keep going. Lift. It's already more exciting, isn't it? Yeah. This movement itself, I mean, it's got a lot of. I just hear it as a joking, a joker movement actually. So when you play the sinister B theme, if you lift those quarter notes in the 6/8 time, it actually can sort of just get that sinister quality a little bit more versus da da dee da da. It doesn't sound as funny. And the movement says with humor. So we're doing what the composer asked. So that's what I wanted to say about this movement. Your rhythm and your energy for it and the mood you were going for was clear. I think this one tiny small articulation change makes a huge difference with the energy, especially with piano. Okay, so good. And then I just work on building some tempo into it.
Yeah.
You're close, really close. Okay, good. Third movement. I want to see how soft you can get in the beginning. I might ask you to give a little more volume just because we're a heavy instrument. So, but I think you can play softer. So the piano sets up the beautiful mood of this, right? And it's mysterious, similar to the Days and Clo. And so let's just see if we can bring the piano up a little bit, bring you down, and you're looking to put your sound in the piano. opening. That's gorgeous, and it's effective the more you hold back, actually, because look how special that note was that time. Plus, you got to lay on the vibrato there, because your vibrato here through dee da dee. That's where we get the feeling of the intensity rising. So here, I want to hear you. We start at right at B, and I just want that D to have just the most intense, fast vibrato. Okay, let's see if that adds to it. Letter B. Shape that D so that you're following the piano line. Okay? And what that's going to mean, I want you to come look at the piano line for a second. It's right here, what she's got. So she's growing through that line, starts way in the left hand on the bottom, and it goes all the way up. So save yourself some room to grow that D. Okay? Right there again, right on letter B. To do that, it just says forte under that D, but when you take into account what's really creating the intensity at that moment, it's the piano part. And so get out of the way for those busy notes, and then when that ascending chord starts to go, then you can grow, because then you take over. Good. So then the rest of this, you did a really nice job at letter D. When you've got the piano part, that's a hard thing to do on saxophone. You did a great job with that. Overall, the mood, you had the mood, it was just very well suited for this. I think the couple things we talked about bring it to an even more convicted place of where you were going with it already, which was great. Good. Last movement. This thing is pretty exciting. You did a great job with rhythm. The syncopations in here and jumping off the 16th notes. It's one of the hardest things about this, and you did a great job. What is the middle, this letter D, when we go B, ba da 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 da, what's that reminiscent of?
Couldn't tell you. Although I guess it's the beginning.
Yeah, of the opening movement. We kind of slip back into the recitative for a moment. Different notes, but we're like time stopped. We're going and then we're in a little cadenza for a moment. That's exactly like the first movement. So take more time and make it into a recitative. Okay, so you just got to sit on those F sharps with a little bit more intensity. Remember what you sounded like back here. Bring it back, and then we come out of it. And we're reminded, oh, that's right, we're not in the first movement anymore. Letter F can be the same stop staccato, except you want to give your accents an air burst. Okay, so you're actually pulsing a little bit while still doing the stop tonguing. Okay, can we start right there? After. Yep. But it's just those top notes that need the emphasis, right? That's it. And then it grows little by little, like you're turning up the volume on the stereo. Good. Really nice job here. Your growth from letter O to the end was also, the shape of it was perfect. I really appreciated that. Good. I want you to have one more shot at the beginning. Here's what I would like you to try to do. Stay piano. Stay softer than we think a saxophone can play. So, Right, so whisper soft, and then when the crescendo comes, it's gonna surprise us.
Okay.
Okay, let's try that from the beginning. And then we're back into the first movement again. Okay, right there. I'll let her go. Crescendo, crescendo. Take a breath. Good, thank you. And that's the more exciting you can be leading up to the piano entrance at E, the better. So you might want to leave yourself some space here, just to be able to crescendo again.
Yeah.
That was right. So in general, the theme here, as with the Days and Clo, the softer you can play when the music calls for it, the more exciting it's going to make the highlights.
Yeah.
And you're playing all of it wonderfully, but you're finding some new territory in your sound to work at the lower level. And what that does is it then we hear the piano part more, which we want to because the piano part's an equally important part.
Right.
So good, nice job.
Awesome.
Yeah.